In 1993, the author Terry Pratchett wrote a paragraph of fiction that explains modern economics better than most textbooks. He called it the Sam Vimes Boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. It goes like this. Take two men. One is wealthy, one is broke. They both have to work on their feet all day, so they both need boots. The wealthy man has $50 in his pocket. He walks into a shop and buys a pair of high-quality leather boots. They are comfortable, they are waterproof, and they last him 10 years. The broke man also needs boots, but he doesn't have $50. He lives paycheck to paycheck. He only has $10 to spare. So he buys the cheap boots. They are made of cardboard and glue. They hurt his feet. And within 6 months, the soles leak. So he has to buy another $10 pair. And 6 months later, another. By the time 10 years have passed, the wealthy man has still only spent $50. His feet are dry. The broke man? He has spent $200 on boots, and his feet are still wet. This is the math of being broke. It is a cruel paradox where having less money actually makes life more expensive. We often tell ourselves that wealth is generated by hard work and intelligence, but the data shows that wealth is also generated by efficiency. When you have money, you get discounts. When you have no money, you pay surcharges. Today, we are going to audit the poverty tax. We are going to calculate exactly how much extra you pay for the luxury of being broke, from the grocery store to the bank to the car dealership. And then we are going to look at the mathematical escape velocity required to break the cycle. Let's start at the most basic level of survival, the grocery store. This is where you encounter the liquidity trap. If you walk down the paper goods aisle, you see two options. Option A is a massive 30-roll pack of toilet paper for $20. Option B is a 4-pack for $5. Mathematically, the big pack is the right choice. It costs 66 cents per roll. The small pack costs $1.25 per roll. Buying the small pack is nearly a 100% markup. You are paying double. But here is the trap. If you only have $10 in your bank account until Friday, you physically cannot make the smart financial decision. You are forced to buy the smaller, more expensive pack. This applies to everything. Laundry detergent, rice, beans, diapers. If you have capital, you buy in bulk, and your cost of living drops. If you are broke, you are trapped in a cycle of buying small, inefficient quantities. This is the micro-cost death spiral. You bleed out in increments of $2 and $5, preventing you from ever saving the lump sum needed to unlock the bulk savings tier. You are effectively paying a subscription fee for poverty, and this extends to your appliances. A wealthy person buys a washing machine for $800. It lasts 10 years. A broke person who cannot afford the upfront cost or doesn't have the credit for a store card goes to the laundromat. Let's do the math. $5 a week for wash and dry. That's $260 a year. Over 5 years, that is $1,300. You have paid for the machine nearly twice over and you still don't own it. Plus, you've paid with hours of your time sitting in a laundromat under fluorescent lights. If the grocery store is where you lose pennies, the bank is where you lose hours of wages. Our banking system is designed effectively in reverse. The more money you have, the more free stuff you get. The less money you have, the more you pay. If you keep $50,000 in a savings account, the bank waives your maintenance fees. They might even give you a cash bonus for signing up. They pay you to keep your money there. But if you have $50 in your account, the bank charges you monthly maintenance fees, minimum balance fees, ATM fees. But the predator in the room is the overdraft fee. Let's say you have $20 in your checking account. You forgot about a $15 subscription that hits automatically. You have $5 left. You stop for a coffee on your way to work. It costs $6. You are now negative $1. In a fair world, the transaction would just decline. You'd be embarrassed, but you'd be solvent. But that's not what happens. The bank approves the coffee, and then they slap you with a $35 overdraft fee. You just paid $41 for a $6 coffee. That is an instant inflation rate of almost 600%. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that banks make billions of dollars annually from overdraft fees, and the vast majority of that revenue comes from customers with balances under $350. Think about that. The banking industry's profit margins are partially subsidized by the people who can least afford to pay them. When a wealthy person forgets to transfer money, the bank covers it as a courtesy. When a poor person forgets, it's a penalty. Now we move to the most expensive part of being broke, credit. In our financial system, risk has a price tag. If you are broke or if you have a spotty payment history because of cash flow issues, you are labeled high risk. Let's look at a car loan. This is often the anchor that drags people underwater. Let's say you need a reliable car to get to work. The car costs $20,000. Person A has a credit score of 750. They get a 5% interest rate. Over 5 years, they will pay about $2,600 in interest. Person B has a credit score of 580. Not because they are a criminal, but maybe they missed a utility bill 2 years ago during a layoff. They get a 20% interest rate. Over 5 years, they will pay nearly $12,000 in interest. Look at that difference. Person B is paying $9,000 more for the exact same vehicle. That is $9,000 of wealth that vanishes into thin air. It doesn't go into a retirement account. It doesn't go into a college fund. It goes to the lender. This is why it is so hard to catch up, because every dollar you earn is buying less value than the dollar earned by someone with good credit. And that's assuming you can get a bank loan. If you can't, you turn to the shadow banking sector. Payday loans, title loans. In many states, the APR on a payday loan isn't 20%. It's 400%. If your car breaks down and you borrow $500 to fix it, and it takes you a year to roll that debt over and pay it off, you might pay back $2,000. This isn't interest. This is financial extraction. It is a tax on desperation. We talked about boots earlier, but this concept of durability applies to your body and your possessions. Cheap cars break down more often. This leads to missed shifts at work, which leads to lost wages, which leads to getting fired. The cheap car is actually the most expensive gamble you can make. But let's talk about the dental tax. If you are broke, you delay medical care. You have a small cavity. It hurts a little, but a filling costs $200 and you don't have it. So you wait. 6 months later, the pain is unbearable. Now it's not a cavity, it's a root canal and a crown. That costs $2,000 because you couldn't pay $200. You are now forced to pay $2,000. The problem didn't go away, it compounded. Poverty denies you the ability to do preventative maintenance on your car, on your home, and on your teeth. You are always stuck paying for catastrophic repair, which is always the most expensive price tier. Finally, we have to talk about the hidden tax, the one you can't see on a receipt, the tax on your brain. Sendil Mullainathan, a professor at Harvard, conducted studies on the psychology of scarcity. He found that the state of being broke lowers your effective IQ by up to 13 points. That's not because poor people are less intelligent. It's because poverty consumes cognitive bandwidth. When you are constantly calculating if you have enough gas to get to work, or which bill you can skip this month, or how you're going to feed the kids, your brain is running massive background processes. It consumes your mental energy. This leads to decision fatigue. It makes it harder to plan for the future. It makes it harder to learn new skills. It makes it harder to resist impulse purchases. So when people say, why did that broke person buy a giant TV? Or why did they buy fast food instead of cooking? The answer isn't always laziness. The answer is exhaustion. When your brain is fried from survival mode, you crave the dopamine hit of a small luxury or the caloric density of a burger. The system wears you down until you make a mistake, and then it charges you for that mistake. So, that is the math. It is brutal, it is unfair, and it is expensive. But we are not here just to admire the problem. We are here to solve it. If you are currently stuck in the bootstrap, how do you get out? You cannot mindset your way out of systemic poverty, but you can strategy your way out. The goal here is to stop paying the poor tax. We need to reach a state of financial efficiency. Here is the tactical plan. First, the emergency fund is not an investment strategy. It is survival gear. You need to stop the bleeding. The only way to stop paying overdraft fees and credit card interest is to have a liquidity buffer. Your first goal isn't buying a house. It isn't the stock market. It is saving $1,000. This $1,000 is your shield. It buys you the ability to say no to a payday loan when your car breaks. It prevents a $500 problem from spiraling into a $2,000 debt. It is the first step in drying your boots. Second, audit the recurring leaks. Look at your bank. If you are paying a monthly maintenance fee, you need to leave. Today, there are credit unions and online banks that charge zero fees. Do not give a bank money for the privilege of holding your money. Third, attack the boots strategically. You cannot upgrade your entire life at once, but you need to identify the items that are costing you the most in maintenance. If you work on your feet, saving for the good boots is actually an investment in your health and income. If you need a car for work, maintaining that car is more important than almost anything else. Buy the cheap pasta, wear the old t-shirt, but buy the good tools that allow you to earn money. Fourth, the snowball method. This is about psychology. List your debts from smallest to largest. Ignore the interest rates for a moment. Pay off the smallest one first. Why? Because you need a win. You need to free up cash flow. When you eliminate a $50 monthly payment, you have $50 more next month to attack the next debt. You are reclaiming your income. The reality is, being broke is a full-time job. It requires constant management, constant stress, and constant calculation. The system is designed to keep you paying double. It relies on your exhaustion and your lack of liquidity to extract profit. Understanding the math of being broke doesn't magically put money in your pocket, but I hope it stops the shame spiral. You aren't broke because you're bad with money. You're broke because the math is hard-coded against you. But now that you see the equation, you can start changing the variables. Start small. Build the buffer. Plug the leaks. It takes time to dry out the boots, but once you do, you stop paying for the past, and you finally start owning your future. Class dismissed.